Coming up on In-Flight Snack, a preview of the AFC East. I did all the other divisions on the Rami and Muki podcast, and now we previewed the AFC East. I was joined by Bills beat reporter and the host of a Bleav podcast called Bleav in Bills. Muki Hawkins joined me to talk all things AFC East, and then we gave our predictions for Monday Night Football between the Bills and the Jets. Loaded podcast, awesome episode, all that and a whole lot more coming up right after this.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Welcome back to In-Flight Snack, a New York Jets podcast on the Bleav Podcast Network. I'm your host, Rami and today I was joined by an awesome guest, Muki Hawkins. He is a Bills beat reporter, and he is also the host of Bleav in Bills, a Bleav podcast. That's you guessed it, Buffalo Bills podcast. We had an awesome conversation earlier this morning. Right now, it's about 7:30 on Sunday night. All the afternoon games were over, and it was awesome. Football is so back. My head is everywhere. It's exploding. We'll talk about all that, I'm sure, as the week goes on. But on this episode, we talked about the AFC East. We didn't know what happened yet in today's games, but we previewed the AFC East, what we liked, who we didn't like, all the different things, over-unders in division, win totals, all that stuff. And then we talked about key factors between the Jets and the Bills. What could happen on Monday night? As you're listening to this, Monday Night Football, it's here. It's the only game left. Aaron Rodgers against the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen against the Jets secondary. So many things to break down. So I'm not going to waste your time, but we do have an important, huge announcement for the podcast. So stick around right after the interview with Muki. We'll talk about that. But right now, I'm going to kick it to myself and Muki on In-Flight Snack. Joining me now on In-Flight Snack, the host of Bleav in Bills, Coach Muki Hawkins. Coach, what's up? How you doing? Thanks for doing this.
Man, good morning. We got football just a few hours away, and man, I'm excited. Even though we set the tone on Monday night, but man, I can't wait for some football to set in action.
Exactly. I feel the same way. I know we don't play till Monday night, but it's Sunday morning right now, and I just can't wait to hear those words. 7 hours of commercial-free football. Also have the games on, but it's finally here. All of the BS beforehand, all the different stuff going on. Now it's actually football season, right?
Yes, sir. It's here all the way to March. So, man, at least I got something to watch on TV now.
Yeah. So not only is the NFL back, you mentioned it, Monday night, tomorrow night, Jets, Bills, the biggest week one of the season for the Jets as far as the Jets are concerned. For the Bills, not as big, I wouldn't say, because they've had some big games. They've had some big expectations. But in the past 3 years of the AFC, the Bills have been the class of the AFC. I want to start there. I want to start with the division. There's a lot of talk about the Jets this year, a lot of talk about the Dolphins again, obviously, if Tua can stay healthy. But the Bills are still the favorites. They've won the division the last 3 times. They're plus 120 to win the division, so not crazy favorites. Do you think they repeat as division champions this year?
Wow, you just get right to it, huh?
I'm getting right into it.
Straight with no chasing. I'm sure if Jets fans want to hear this. You know what I mean? I'm old school, and until you beat the dog, then, it is what it is. Until somebody beats the Bills or somebody knocks the Bills off the top, then, yeah, you got to earn that. You just can't just be given that just because y'all got, a future Hall of Famer and a couple more good weapons in Dalvin Cook and Allen Lazard and stuff like that. You still got to earn that, So, they did it when New England was dominating the division. Until somebody beats New England, then, same rule applies. So I still feel that this Buffalo Bills team, has what it takes not only to win the division, but to get to the Super Bowl. When you look at this Bills team, and I'll say minor upgrades, right? You have Deontay Hardy as a minor upgrade of Isaiah McKenzie. You had Trent Sherfield as a upgrade over Jake Kumerow. Then you have Shakur in his second year. I mean, Gabe Davis is going to have a breakout year. I mean, I'm quite sure everybody been listening and hearing about it. He's had one hell of a camp. So you got that going on. Obviously, Stephon Diggs is Stephon Diggs. And
Yep.
then, the draft pick and Dalton Kincaid and how he really evolves this offense with the personnel groupings that Ken Dorsey covets. So when you look at this roster again, minor upgrades. I didn't even get on the defensive side of the minor
Yep.
upgrades. Last year's roster was supposed to be that Super Bowl favorite. I think this roster is better than last year's roster. So, that's why we play the games, and everybody's going to see that, man, in just a few short hours.
Yeah, and they're not too far away behind. If you look at Kansas City's number one to win the conference, and then number two right there is the Bills. So Vegas sees it the same way. What gives you the confidence? You said the adjustments, some of the additions. They talk about this Diggs Allen stuff. I don't buy it. What's your take on all that? Where do you think the offense is?
Well, hey, let me just get that out the way, the Allen Steph stuff. I mean, hey, uh, you guys got what, Hard Knock Life over here, and then we got As the Bills Turn or something like that over
Yep.
here. I mean, but at the end of the day, that's just all just national media stuff. That's
Right.
just maybe somebody getting some information that was late. Yeah, you probably was in his feelings and said that back in February. But listen, when it's time to play football, Stephon Diggs is locked in. He's the ultimate pro, and everybody want to give him a bad rap of what happened in Minnesota. Uh, Here in Buffalo, we don't care what happened in Minnesota, but every time he do something, if Stephon Diggs farts the wrong way, then there it is. That's that stuff in Minnesota. That's that stuff in Minnesota we was talking about. But at the end of the day, let me just address you about how I think Stephon Diggs is feeling. I think more or less Stephon Diggs is feeling that, hey, I'm a competitor. I want to win. If I'm playing this sport, I want to win. I want the ultimate goal. He's been on this team for going on 4 years. His very first year, there was only one game away from achieving that goal. And then, past 2 seasons, it just hasn't, fall their way. You lose in 13 seconds, then you lose your offensive coordinator, and you come out in the playoffs and you look your worst you ever looked all season, despite of everything that you've gone through in that season. So,
Yep.
of course, he wants to win, and he wants to be able to be effective when the game is on the line so he can help his team win instead of basically being doubled and bracketed, and Josh Allen has to go, in other places with the football. So that was the only concern I feel that Stephon Diggs had. I mean, who cares? If I got 8 catches and 100 yards in the first half, damn it, I'm looking to have 16 catches and 200 yards in the second. I mean, don't stop my growth and put it on cruise control. Let a dog be a dog. So they got to let a dog be a dog in Stephon Diggs this year. He never wanted to go anywhere. So, here we are. Where is he going to obviously go and play for a Super Bowl in an elite quarterback? He's not going to get that
Yep.
anywhere. So he realizes that, and he just want to be on the same accord. I should be able to go in there and vent my frustrations on what I didn't like, especially if I'm a captain, especially if I'm one of the top paid players on this team. I should be able to go and voice my frustrations and vent. And we got to accept that as family. It's
Yep.
a marriage now. I just signed the contract. This is it.
Yeah, not there's a team we saw on Thursday night that would probably love to have Stephon Diggs right now in Kansas City, right? I mean, you have
Absolutely.
an elite level receiver who's that competitive, who cares that much about winning. It's become a little bit of a meme with him standing on the field after being eliminated, but no, that's actually how much he cares. So I think that's important. Despite them being favorites, though, they're favorites to win the division, they're favorites or second favorites to win the AFC. Vegas has their over under at 10.5 wins. This is a team that won 13 games last year. Seems like Vegas sees them taking a slight step back. Do you see that? And if so, why?
If I say that, then they take a slight because it is a tough schedule. They have one of the toughest
Yeah, for
schedules,
sure.
in the NFL. But again, I mean, Bills always been playing tough opponents. That's how it is. I guess that's the reward when when your division title for 3 straight years in a row, you're going to get everybody's top
That's
team
how it works.
in
Yep.
the conference. So I mean, yeah, guess what? The Bills are no stranger to that. And, I kind of like it because now they can get back to just going back to being a hunter instead of the hunted. I don't think they handled being the hunted very well. And that was the issue. I mean, you want to see that in all teams, like, damn, man, this is it. We top team. We're targeted. So
Yeah.
now we're going to handle that. Are we going to still have that hunger approach where we just going to say, oh, we the Bills, we can just win whenever, however. And sometimes it don't work out that way. It almost did. It
Yep.
almost did. I mean, because they easily could have been undefeated last year. And it was definitely some areas where, had you scratching your head a little bit. But other than that, I do feel that, this team definitely could compete with the best of them. I think that number is going to be over. I think the Bills' ceiling again is a 13-4. 13-4, and I'll say 11-6 is the floor.
Yeah, I'm right there. I think maybe 10 to 12 wins, not 11 to 13, but I'm right there with the Bills. I think, like you said, that's such an important thing where now people are talking about the Jets, people are talking about different teams, and the Bills kind of might want to go out there and prove a point and say, we're still here. We're still this team. We're the team that won the division the last 3 years. Don't talk to me about Aaron Rodgers. We got our own guy. We got Josh Allen. Speaking of the Jets, they are the second favorite, I guess, to win the division, plus 250. Their over-under for the year is 9.5. They bring in Aaron Rodgers. They have the young guys. They have the defense. There's reasons to be high on this team. What do you expect after a down year last year from Aaron Rodgers, all the hype surrounding him this year? What do you expect to see from Rodgers this year?
Well, he better act like, he got another lifeline. That's what he better act like. He better not act like the pompous, egotistical, oh, this is me, I'm Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay and all that stuff. Jets is giving you everything you wanted. They done brought you half
Yep.
your receiving core over here, on top of the receivers that they do have. So you have the weapons. You have probably more weapons than you ever had in your career. So that should motivate you to want to elevate your game, even though you're one of the best in the game. I mean, that should definitely energize them. So I want to see that out of Aaron Rodgers. Last year when I saw out of him, I saw him. I saw him as a guy who really didn't care if he won or lost in Green Bay, and I'm happy that he's gone. I'm not happy that he's in the damn AFC East, but I
Yep.
kind of am because it breeds the level of competition to say, okay, Buffalo, you better step your game up because now you got to face, another guy, another Tom Brady-ish type of figure in your division. So I kind of like that. It presents a challenge to this team, and Coach McDermott is all about challenging his team. So it's definitely ups the ante.
Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson wasn't really giving you that same level of competition, no?
Not at all.
Yeah. So the concerns with the Jets, I would say, because the defense was there last year. The defense was great. And they played well against the Bills. We'll get to that in a minute. The concerns, the offensive line, the head coach. We don't know if the head coach can coach, and the injuries. I can't be independent because I'm so emotionally invested in this team. As an independent observer, someone from the division, but you're kind of a little removed from it. How do you feel about this Jets? Where do you think this season ends for them?
Ooh, a team that came. It was 7-10 last year.
Yep.
Hell of a defense. Dealt with some injuries.
I think there was a stat if they had scored 20 points a game, they would have won like 5 more games, which is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because of the defense.
Yep.
Salah's definitely, I mean, that's what he hang his hat on. That's why he became the head coach of the New York Jets of, the way he, got after you from the defense, especially when he was out there in 49er, leading them to Super Bowl. So, they did a quick fix at the quarterback, even though drafting Zach Wilson, high in the first round. But hey, if you all in the win now, you go get the pieces. So again, I mean, he has a Brees Hall and a Dalvin Cook, Alan Lazard, a
Garrett
McCole
Wilson.
Harmon, a Garrett Wilson. So he has weapons. He has a Tyler Conklin. He has weapons. So the big question is up front. Because they never did you made splashes everywhere, but you didn't do it up front.
And Becton's
That
already on the injury report for Monday, right? So
Yep, and that's not good. I know we do have some issues on our defense. With the biggest question mark is how they're going to respond without Tremaine Edmonds.
For sure.
But the advantage the Bills do have is up front with their D line versus I think the Jets O line. I think that is the area of weakness. The only weakness that this Jets team is really facing is on the O line, and that's a major problem. Especially in this division.
So what do you have them at? Just give me a prediction win total. Like I said, over under 9.5. What do you think for the Jets
They're
this
gonna
year?
give teams a run for the money. They definitely gonna give teams a run for their money. Just going, it depends on how quick they score. If little swing passes out to the running backs and screens
for
and
sure.
stuff like that, he's gonna take his shots. But it's gonna be pretty interesting to see how Hackett mix it up. I think Hackett is he's definitely gotten better as an offensive coordinator. I mean, remember he was here in Buffalo as well as a young OC, and I think he's gotten way better when he got to Green Bay. He got a little bit more matured. He got a little bit more developed. I'm not a fan of Doug Marrone at all, but again, he exposed himself when he became a head coach. Sometimes players are great coordinators, and they just not head coaching material, and that's a
We've
prime
seen
example.
that so many times. Yeah,
Prime example. So I say the Jets gonna be in the swing of things, man. I say Jets ceiling 12, floor 10.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Like I said, I have them between 9 and 11, a little bit lower than the Bills. I think that's right. I think the Bills still are the class of the AFC East. You mentioned the Jets' weapons. I think it's fair to say the best weapons in the AFC East are probably the Dolphins, Tyreek, Waddle. But the question is always Tua's health. That's impossible to predict. They're right there. Their over under is the same as the Jets, 9.5. They're third, right? Third best odds to win the division at plus 290. But you can't really predict health. What do you expect from the Dolphins this year?
It's gonna be tough. I mean, definitely the situation regarding Tua, and then he has a tough task week 1 with Bosa and Khalil Mack,
For sure.
and then no Terran Armstead. Again, you didn't do anything to protect your franchise quarterback. You go in all these other areas, and you're still missing the big picture. You got to protect your quarterback, and I hope that everything goes well, the jiu-jitsu class and all that stuff, it pans out. But yeah, that's still a major issue. And I mean, even though they running backs did run solidly, they still don't. They're not fighting fire with fire. In the division when it comes to that, and that could be an issue too. We
Do you think
know
they get Jonathan Taylor?
at some point.
You think the Dolphins for sure get him?
Yeah, at some point.
All right.
Some point, I think that's going to happen. But I mean, I wonder, do they have the assets?
Well, we know a trade was turned down, and this is rumors. I mean, we don't know this for a fact, but they offered Waddle in a trade, part of a trade package for Jonathan Taylor, and it was turned down.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
they may reconsider that. They may come back to that. They was willing to give a Waddle.
Ooh, yeah, and if Dolphins, Indianapolis is sitting there with nothing,
how do I give him up? I'm not giving a Waddle for Taylor. I'm sorry.
Really?
I'm not.
I mean, but that's where their deficiency is, right? They have Tyreek. You really need a good running back to go with that to alleviate some of the pressure from Tua, don't you think?
True, but you better have somebody on that other side that can, blow the top off the defense when Tyreek Hill's getting doubled and bracketed too.
That's true.
It goes hand in hand. He's familiar in your system. I guess the Dolphins is probably thinking ahead on how much they're gonna have to pay Waddle coming up soon. The same way.
That's true too.
And it's cheaper to sign a running back than it is a receiver. So
yeah, Saquon Barkley knows about that.
Right. So maybe that's why I'm thinking the angle they may go in, and he may go find one of his San Francisco veterans or something to play on the other side.
For sure. So I have them at again, it's so impossible to predict, but I think Tua will miss games. I think that's just what we've come to expect. And I think they're somewhere between the 6 to 9 range wins wise. How about you?
You got Vic Fangio, and I'm so caught up on all this hype. What was all this hype? Well, well, I guess we did get our fair share of hype, but it baffles me to say that everybody. Well, I can't say everybody, but the national analysts, for the case, whoever responsible for this, put the Dolphins over everybody in the division once they got Jalen Ramsey.
Yep.
I was like, Jalen Ramsey was
he's
really,
the big difference.
They better than the Bills because they just signed Jalen Ramsey. For real?
Yeah, I don't see it, and he's not going to play now for at least a couple months.
Right. So I didn't understand that. I mean, hey, even with the Jets and all the hype, so we're going to see, what wins, whether it be the hype or the continuity of the Bills, because they do have weapons. Don't get me wrong, but they have not played together at all for the first time in a real game setting in their careers.
Yep.
So how much in sync are they really going to be? How much rhythm is Aaron Rodgers going to have with these wide receivers? So I expect them to try to establish the run, but we do got Puna Ford now. Jordan Phillips is pretty healthy.
For sure.
So we'll have to see about that in reference to, how effective the Jets can run, because teams were able to run against the Bills late in the season very efficiently. And we want to see if the Bills clean that up. I'm quite sure the Jets is going to test them with the running backs they have. And, man, it's going to be pretty interesting. It's going to be pretty damn interesting.
As far as the Patriots, just the last team in the division, just to wrap up, and then we'll get to the game and break it down a little bit further. But they had the highest scoring defense in the league last year. They bring back Bill O'Brien, so that's like a real offensive coordinator now for Mac Jones. Something for me, it's like the laundry just still haunts me as a Jet fan. I can't see them losing or winning less than 9 to 10 games, but they're over under 7.5. This team doesn't have the talent at the skill positions. Why am I so concerned about the Patriots? And do you think the Patriots are just done? It's over for them?
Well, you're concerned just the same reason why everybody else is concerned. So you're fine. Okay, if you're feeling that way, you're fine. It's because of Bill Belichick.
100%.
I mean, it's just the respect of that guy. I mean, he is the greatest coach of all time, like it or not. And Tom Brady is the quarterback that you always love to hate. So long as they got that guy on the field, on the sideline, you have a chance to pull out a ball game. He's going to have his team prepared. They may not be the most athletic team, but he's going to have his team prepared to bring their hard hat every day and do their job. And if they catch you lacking, they're going to pull the victory off. A team that they're supposed to beat, they don't play around. They never play down to the level. I've never seen New England play down to the level of their competition at all. So, that's why you say that. I think New England got sneaky good too. I mean, if you understand, what Bill Belichick really looks for in, he has this weird kind of way of just, guys that fits his scheme. He knows what fits his scheme, right? So he got sneaky good. They upgraded the tight end position. Hey, don't not sleep on Ezekiel Elliott back there. And Stevenson, okay?
And Stevenson, by the way, is going to be, he's not going to have a ton of snaps. Apparently, he's a little bit hurt. I see Zeke's going to be such a red zone threat for them. He's going to be scoring inside from, the 7 to 5 yard line and in. He's going to be getting all the touches. I think Zeke's a huge pickup for them.
Right. So you cannot, it's going to be one hell of a division, man. I think a lot of people are really going to play to their ceiling in this division just because the attention that the division is getting, the hype surrounding around it. But, it's deserved because they have, they had a lot of big names. There's a lot of big names in this AFC East now, from each team. So, something's going to give.
Yeah, last year, I think one of the divisions, I don't remember which one, it may have been the AFC North, had 40 wins in the division. I think that could be the AFC East this year, where there's 40 wins in the division between the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. The Bills themselves can win 13 games. I think the Pats are a 10-win team also. And the Dolphins, if Tua stays healthy, who knows where that goes. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough division. There's going to be a lot of challenges within the division. But it starts, for us at least, on Monday night. Bills -2.5, going on the road. We know all the stakes. It's 9-11. DeMar Hamlin coming back. Rodgers' first game as a Jet. Monday Night Football in New York City under the lights. It's going to be a fun time. Right off the top, what's your feelings going into this game?
My feelings going into this game is the Bills better establish the run.
Yeah.
The Bills are going to have to establish the run. But we know Josh Allen is going to throw that thing all over the yard. He do have Aaron Rodgers over there on the side of him. So when he plays against, the guy across from him is a superior talent. Josh Allen, he raises his game to another level. He definitely do. So it's going to be interesting. And, Aaron Rodgers is one of his idols. How him, Brady, and those guys, they joke at each other all the time and trash talk. And, they hang in the off season. So, this is not one of those going against a sensei matchup in New York, prime time. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how the Bills really get things established against this solid defense. You got matchups all over the place. We brought in Osiris Torrance to be the big Q stopper, so that's going to be a matchup I'm going to be watching very, very closely. And just in the trenches alone. I mean, on the flip side of that, don't get me wrong. Again, y'all have brought in some splashy guys, but Dwayne Taylor the left
Dwayne
tackle?
Brown.
Dwayne Brown, excuse me.
Who popped up on the injury list as well for, the injury report for this week also.
I don't see him just like locking down Leonard Floyd, and Greg Rousseau. So that matchup between Becton and Brown versus Floyd and Rousseau, that's a matchup I definitely want to see. And then obviously, no Tremaine Edmonds, man. Jets linebackers versus Jets running backs versus Bills linebackers. So like I said, it's so many damn matchups out there that you can choose from, and it's going to make a great game on Monday night.
For sure. And you mentioned Josh Allen. He definitely elevates his game against the other great quarterbacks. He's never faced the Jets team with a great quarterback, and maybe that's why his numbers against the Jets aren't that great. They blow them out maybe once. Last year, Josh Allen, first game, 53% passing percentage, only 205 passing yards, 86 rushing yards. He didn't throw for a touchdown, but he did rush for 2. He gets sacked 5 times. He also fumbles twice. Luckily for him, he didn't lose either of them. And then he throws 2 interceptions. The Jets win 20-17. The second time the two teams play, we're going against a broken Mike White with broken ribs who could barely stand in there, right?
The Bills win White.
Yeah, the Bills win 20-12, but also they only put up 20 points. Josh Allen, again, only 147 yards passing, 47 yards rushing. He had 2 total touchdowns. Again, this time the big difference, though, 0 turnovers. Didn't fumble, didn't turn the ball over. In his career, not the best quarterback against the Jets. Why has Josh Allen maybe struggled last year in particular against the Jets, and do you think that trend continues against the defense this year?
I think Josh Allen struggled because teams, they were predictable. As good as this team were, they were very predictable last year, so it's easy to, it's easy really to stop. But Josh Allen is a freak of a talent. So, he's another one of those guys you can't really stop him. You can only contain him, right?
For sure.
So when you contain him, you get those numbers, you get those dismal numbers, but guess what? They're still in it to win it. You know what I mean? So something again is going to have to give in that point, whether Josh Allen is going to rise to the occasion and have better numbers, and they score up more points, making the track meet their style of play, or Jets slow the pace down, keep Josh Allen off the field so he can't make plays, and force their hand a little bit because they're playing catch up. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this 12 personnel is going to go, because is DJ Reed is going to be checking Stephon Diggs, or will it be Sauce? And
what they did last year was Reed with help over the top on Diggs and then sauce one-on-one with Gabe Davis. That's what they did the couple games last year. We'll see if that continues this year.
You're not going to be able to do that when Dalton Kincaid and
Yep.
Knox operate in the middle of the field.
That's true.
Safeties, they're going to be occupied. If not, our tight ends are going to be. I mean, when you do, they got C.J. Mosley, so it's going. But like, who do you put your linebacker on? Because James Cook is out there now. It's not Devin Singletary.
Yep.
And he catch a swing pass out there. It's like watching Dalvin Cook in the Bills uniform, basically.
For sure.
So it's gonna be pretty interesting, man. There's definitely some weapons out there. Whoever gets wrong, obviously we know what's going to happen. It's going to cost them big time because too many damn weapons out there, too many damn great players. It's definitely going to boil down to coaching. So we'll see. McDermott's calling the plays now on defense. See how aggressive this Bills team will be. I guess they have to do that, to compensate from the loss of Tremaine Edmonds. So it's going to be pretty interesting on how they rotate these guys, not only on front, but, on the second level within their linebacking core too. And in their back end, because they do have Tyler Rapp to pair off with, Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. And then obviously you got Trey White, back completely healthy from injury he dealt with.
I think the linebackers are such a big part of this game because I think the Jets, one of the keys for them, to me, is containing Josh Allen in the run game. We know what they can do in the secondary, but if no one's open in the secondary, he can take off and run. He can, tuck it and just start wreaking havoc that way, right? The first game of the year, he had 86 rushing yards on 9 rushes against the Jets. He ran for 2 touchdowns in the second game last year. So the point is, if Josh Allen is starting to run all over the place and they can't contain him, then it doesn't matter that you're shutting down Diggs and Davis and Kincaid. Even if you shut down all those guys, which you're not going to do, he's going to be running all over the place. That's huge. How can the Jets contain Josh Allen in the run game?
It depends where they're spying from. That's how you contain him. But again, with Dalton Kincaid out there, operating in the middle of the field, you can't. Who you going to spy him with?
Exactly.
The Bengals did a pretty good job on spying him from both sides, whether it was a safety rolling down or a defensive lineman, that they had spying Josh. You can't do that. You're not going to be able to do that now with the different personnel grouping with the Bills with Dalton Kincaid and, Dawson Knox. You're not going to be able to do that. So that's why I want to see how efficiently this is going to be. How it creates the mismatches within the scheme, and how early and often do the Bills go after it. So you won't be able to double dip bracketing with help over the top when tight end is running straight down that seam.
For sure.
And we'll see a better Gabe Davis matched up against Sauce. If that's the one-on-one matchup again, I'm definitely going to go with Gabe on this go around.
Yeah, and a lot of talk in Jets camp has been about the improved safety. Tony Adams, undrafted free agent last year, and then he didn't even play in some of the preseason games this year because he was so secure in the job. So people are talking about him taking a big step at safety. On the other side, you talked about the Bills linebackers, you talked about no Tremaine Edmonds, you talked about the Jets having to alleviate pressure. I think there's going to be a lot of quick passes, a lot of screen passes, a lot of swing passes to Dalvin Cook, to Breece Hall, to Mecole Hardman, to Garrett Wilson. That's going to be the Jets game to try and alleviate some of that pressure on the offensive line. How do you think the Bills secondary and really their linebacking core reacts to that?
I agree with that. But the Bills, again, they got to play aggressive. They got to play up. They can't be playing passive aggressive. They can't be playing 5 to 6 yards off the ball. That's not football. That is not football. So they got to have an aggressive approach with this. And understand, what the Jets are trying to do. I mean, if you're saying it and I'm saying it, damn it, like we all know it's coming, so they got to be ready for it. And I think the Bills will. They've been playing, they played a bulk of preseason, to be a little ready in areas than most. So Matt Milano had definitely gone out there and earn his money and turn on the all-pro juice again, and
for sure
he's going to be the guy that's going to be locked on Cook. So we do got rookie Dorian Williams from out of Tulane. He's another one of those match linebackers. So I'm quite sure you're going to see him at some point. And then we do got Christian Kirksey now, so we got a veteran presence. Just in case things ain't materializing way to Coach McDermott wants to. So he's been on the team. We'll see if he suits up this week, because it's all about learning the playbook. And if he's got that, then you may see him being a starter, early than mid-season.
Yeah, and so for me, the key to the Jets win last year, the defense pretty much contained the Bills' offense, and now you have a quarterback who's not Mike White, who's not Zach Wilson. To me, that's the key. The key is the fact that you have a Hall of Fame quarterback in there, and if Rodgers comes out firing and looks like the guy that we saw not so much last year, but 2 years ago, the Jets can win. What do you think the key to victory for the Bills is?
Keys to victory to the Bills is establish the run. Establish the run, set up play action. Josh Allen is probably the best in the game right now, rolling out. He's so damn accurate rolling out. So don't you think you should design some plays?
For
Now
sure.
it's time to design some plays like that. I want to see them, run the ball. I think James Cook in his second year is going to give that offense the explosiveness it needs. And don't forget, we do have Damian Harris and Latavius Murray to help bolster that. We did get better up front. Again, we got Osiris Torrance over there. We did bring Germani and Fetty, former first-round pick, 8 years ago. But, I mean, and 6'5", 340 to pair off with another 6'5", 340 guy on that right side. 12 personnel. We run behind with Damian Harris, especially like you said, how New England's going to use Ezekiel, them short yard situations. And, just wear the front down, because they have a hell of a rotation to the New York Jets. So you're going to have to establish the run. You can't just have these guys just peeling their ears back, attacking your quarterback 40 times. You have to run the football. Wear those guys down a little bit and, use run action, establish some sort of run action to, get your tight ends open underneath and your wide receivers up top. So I definitely want to see them establish the run, just have some good balance. I want to have some good balance. And once the Bills got good balance, they're controlling the ball game. So as long as the Bills get some good balance and they play aggressive on defense, they got a chance to, to pull it out. So I say Bills will pull it out. Last minute field goal by Tyler Bass, 26-24.
It's funny. I have almost the exact same thing happening. And you mentioned the Jets and their front. I didn't even mention that. I think that's such a key also. If the Jets can get pressure with 3 and 4, then that frees up so many people in the secondary to cover the Kincaid and the running backs and Josh Allen running the ball. I see it going the same way, but the opposite. I guess I have to as a Jets fan, right? I think last second field goal, Jets win 27-24. But we see it basically the same way. It's going to be a close game, not a ton of scoring, but more scoring than the game last year. And ultimately, it's going to come down to a last second field goal. So if you don't have any other predictions for the game, plug your stuff and tell us where we could find you this season.
Hey, man, you can find me on WUFO Sports. That's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and that's WUFO Sports. I am a Buffalo Bills beat reporter. So, hey, I'm in the sauce, baby.
For sure. All right. Well, I appreciate you for doing this, and I'm sure we'll talk further down the road this season as the Bills and Jets match up again later in the year. All right.
Do you Bleav?
I do Bleav. Thank you, Muki, for joining me. That was awesome. Again, I have the Jets winning. I think it'll be close, but I think ultimately they come down, last minute field goal at home, all the hype. I recorded earlier today with Muki before I even saw the Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Andrews interview, if you want to call that conversation, production piece. It was super cool. Super cool stuff. So I do trust Aaron Rodgers. I trust this Jets team. We saw what the Packers did without Aaron Rodgers in Chicago. I kind of predicted that on my other podcast, the Rami and Muki podcast. So if you are Aaron Rodgers, I should say, and you saw that, you're probably pretty mad. You're pissed off. People say, we don't even need Aaron Rodgers. Well, he wants to go out there and prove a point. I think the Jets win. I think it's a close game. I think more points are put up than last year's contest where the winning team scored a combined total of 40 points across the two games. I think there's more points in this game. 27-24, Jets win. My picks haven't been great so far this year. You can listen to the Rami and Muki podcast if you want some terrible betting picks. I'm up money overall in the day, though. It's been a wild day. Getting back in, you have to get used to watching so many football games at once and all the screens and everything. It's my head's spinning, but I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. So getting set for Sunday Night Football soon. But before then, we have a huge announcement later this week. It involves the podcast. It involves a special, I don't want to say guest. He's going to be a co-host, it looks like. So I don't want to announce anything yet, but keep your eyes and ears on the lookout for news about this podcast. It's going to be super cool, and I'm super excited to bring it to you guys. It's humbling for me. I'm thrilled. This isn't my decision. This is the great people, I Bleav, who put this together. So I cannot wait to tell you what's going to happen. But there's going to be an announcement later this week, and I can't tell you now, but it's going to be huge, and I want you guys to look out for it. So again, thanks to Muki. Thanks to everyone for listening. Share it. Grow the community, because later this week, when the new episode drops after Monday Night Football, we're going to enjoy the hell out of it. Jets, Bills, 9/11. I'm sure there'll be a special memorial. First night at MetLife Stadium for the Jets. Aaron Rodgers, the throwback uniforms. So many things going on. Even DeMar Hamlin returning to the field is going to be such a special moment. Joe and Troy on the call. There's so much to talk about. Hey, Rex Ryan also said that podcast is named after Rex. Rex Ryan said he thinks this is the best Jets roster he's seen. I can't argue with him. So stay tuned this week. We're going to have tons of content. Enjoy the Jets game, Monday Night Football. It's going to be fantastic. We'll have an instant reaction probably on Tuesday after the game. So until then, like, subscribe, share the podcast with a friend. And I mentioned Rex already. And after a full day of football sitting on the couch, I'm feeling like I could go for a snack. Rex.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.